The suppression of the use of marijuana and of the forces lurking behind it are the most important jobs this department is now engaged in. In 1930, the records on marijuana in the Washington office of the Narcotics Division scarcely filled a small folder like this. Today, they fill cabinets.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Coloradians, and everyone that's smart enough to listen from the outside.
It's one of the most amazing plants we've ever discovered.
The pot party, the trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
I got Winnie Bucks.
All right, let's go.
Jesus Christ, Chris, why don't you have a little decorum, you fuckstick?
I was just trying to pump up the vibes.
Pump
See,
it
look,
up,
she's
pump the
excited.
jam.
She's
pump
excited.
it up.
She's smiling. She's having a good time. We're ready to talk.
Let's pump up the vibes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of Stoned Appetite. As always, it's your host, Kip, and to my left, I've got the hype man, CB. How are you today, CB?
It might have been the Jock Jams playlist getting ready for March Madness, or it might just be Eve's presence, but I'm pretty hyped.
Dude, I swear to God, we've got golden retriever vibes, and she is the exact antithesis. How is it going today, Eve?
Oh my God.
Chris, it's our biggest time of the year. Eve, it's your first March. We're about to, I was going to say something perverse, but I don't want HR to hear it. So it's you're a virgin to the March Madness.
I know where you were going.
Yeah,
Way
are
to
you
stop
fucking
yourself.
excited?
Yeah.
Sports stuff.
Sports. I love
Well,
sports.
lucky for you, it's not really sports, and that's one of the biggest compliments we get every year is that we don't really care about basketball, but I'm in religiously on this March Madness bracket. We're going to dive into all of them. As y'all heard last Thursday, we broke down the 4 1 seeds. I think we gave the subsets for which I asked the committee to put in their recommendations. We're going to dive into those. We'll talk about the omissions. We'll talk about the bracket breakdown from each region. Chris and I will talk about sleepers, odds on favorites to win the region, and then we're going to finish it up with the best things we ate and sleepers in the draft that maybe folks have not eaten at and they need to heed our advice. Remember that this bracket is meant to prop up 68 restaurants that are doing it great in our community, but there's 500, maybe 1,000 more that didn't make this bracket that are doing excellent work as well. So we're excited to talk about all that. We have 30 days of action. That's 28 episodes that Eve gets to hang out with us for. Are you ready, Eve?
So ready.
Fuck yeah. All right, well, this episode is presented to you by our friends at Seed Money Consulting. We've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. Ever since everyone got their W-2s in the mail, it's fucking tax season. If you want to make sure that you're not leaving money on the table, shout out to Quarterstone, these fresh new tables we got in here. They sharp. Well, don't leave money on the proverbial table. When you're filing with folks like TurboTax, H&R Block, they're not actually looking out for your best interest. They're just trying to get to the finish line as quickly as possible. Our friends, Denver locals, Seed Money Consulting. Eve just looked at me. That was gross. Seed Money Consulting is based out of the DTC. They work with businesses of all varietals, from small to medium to large, from individuals that are 1099s to those that maybe had a couple trials and tribulations in 2023. Maybe you had to dip into the savings. Maybe you had to withdraw your 401k or your Roth. Maybe you had to use unemployment. All of those things can be determining the factor of how your taxes should be filed. Do not go another step without reaching out to them. It's not just taxes. They do everything from financial advisory and services of that nature throughout the year to the CFO in a box, similar to Dick in a Box, but much more popular. The CFO in a Box is a flat rate package that they offer to small businesses to kind of help you get all of your ducks in a row throughout the year. Whatever you may be, if you are not the person on the team that wears the financial hat, maybe you don't have one on your team that is the CFO. Reach out to our friends at Seed Money Consulting. They'll help make sure they put their best foot forward so that you can put your best foot forward. Don't leave money on the table. Reach out to Seed Money Consulting. All right, Chris, how do you feel about the 68? Because technically you were just in the dark as the rest of everybody. I fucking filled that whole bastard out. You knew who was going to be in it from the scoring results, but how do you think it shook out all in all with 68.
I think there's some fun matchups. Like you said, there's going to be some omissions. There's going to be some strange matchups, but that's because it was all randomized once we put them in there, minus the play-ins and the 1 seeds.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, but at the same time, we've done it the other way, where it's like all sushi restaurants reverse each other, all the barbecues reverse
Yeah.
each other, and that's not nearly as fun. That's what conference tournaments are about. And if we want to get really deep in the weeds, maybe next year we will. But realistically, we think that we have a great representation. Do we have a solid, I guess, full-rounded scope? How do you think it turned out?
I think we do. I mean, for the most part, we hit every note, and we've got I think we're tapping into different fan bases too, because we have a large Asian presence this year, more so than in previous years, and we have a bunch of newer restaurants this year.
We do. So I think I did the math because I'm a math guy.
We're gonna have to check that, but
29% of the bracket is Asian-owned small businesses here in the community. I think that is a just representation because while we had a subset that was for the Asian persuasion, we also had them with Sapsua coming out of the fine dining, which is an Asian-owned restaurant. We had like 3 or 4 bakeries, like Ven Chuang came out as well. So there was different genres that we saw that larger representation come to fold. And I mean, to be honest, I'm not mad about fucking any of it. And in fact, some of the only complaints was that there wasn't other ones that should have been in there. So, to be honest, I think we have a great spread across different genres of food, as well as cost points. I am a little disappointed we don't have more sandwich spots. And that's on me as the flag bearer of sandwiches in this community. There's no one else to point the finger at but myself. Sorry for burping.
I tossed a couple good sandwiches in the mix, but the way the scoring shook out, just didn't quite get there this year.
It really didn't. And, for the real part, that's okay because I feel like, our page does yield a little bit more tacos, nudes, and dumps than it does other things. So that shortcoming of maybe having more of those representatives there, I wasn't upset about. But when you shake it out, there were a couple omissions from the sandwich genre. And I feel a little bit hurt on the inside about that. But let's dive into the regions, Chris. Let's start with the Mr. B's region. As folks have started to see, there is a tie/play-in round in every quadrant. The Mr. B's region is led by Lucinia, Chef Roz, and Diego. They won Latin Flair with Ultimate Style. I think they had first place votes across the board. Of course, we had some folks that were like, why not this place? But that's going to happen every time.
Yeah.
But that whole bracket is fucking littered with winners and great restaurants. Our 2022 winner, Annette, is right there. Bakery 4, who was in the final last year, would be playing Annette in the second round. That's a doozy. Kike's Red Taco, which is widely considered one of the best tacos in town. That one is in the same region. And then one of our favorite restaurants, my favorite Asian restaurant, Hop Alley, is in that region as well. Holy fuck. It's a murderer's row, even just to get out of the first round. But looking deep, it's a loaded region, Chris.
And this is where fan bases are so important. But I think this region, so many heavy hitters are gonna get knocked out. A lot of wild shit is gonna happen following what shakes out.
And it's not like we picked where teams
Yeah.
go, because if that was the case, we would have done it so that those with largest followings would have had the easiest paths. But there is no such thing. I mean, Kike's has a huge following. Annette has a huge following. Bakery 4 has a huge following. And what I had as one of my top bakeries, Get Rights, who has kind of really found their own right there in Wheat Ridge. They are in a gauntlet right out the gates with one of the best pastas in Restaurant Olivier. Holy fuck. This is the hardest of the regions, I think.
And Get Rights hits kind of double dips. They hit that sweet tooth with their pastries and stuff, but their fucking sandwiches that they're
And the
serving
pizza
up
too.
are so damn good. So I think you're going to get some sandwich enthusiasts. I don't know. I think Get Rights can make some moves.
I mean, it's going to be a doozy. So every region, Eve, do you have the bracket pulled up? Love it. So Eve has the bracket pulled up as well. All right, Chris. So while she pulls up,
What am I looking at? I see it. I don't know where to look.
Okay, so you
Look
go to
on
our
the
most
left-hand
local
side.
page, and then
Okay.
we're going to start with the Mr. B's region. God, I love you. It's like teaching my dad how to use the internet. Chris, who do you think comes out of the Mr. B's region?
Let's see. Our winners in the past have been Annette, Yan Tan. I'm thinking like while I do have Lucinia going very far, I think this year Hop Alley
Is going back to back to back in the Final Fours?
I think they're going to make a really deep run this year just because number one, they're consistently being in the top 4. And number 2, with them starting the chef counter, like buzz has been generated. I think it's exciting what they're doing with that. So I'm going to have to say that they're going to come out
Okay.
of the Mr. B's region.
Eve, who are you cheering for out of the Mr. B's?
I haven't eaten that like a majority of
I
these.
know. That's totally
Okay.
fine. Eve is new to the town. She left the Weinstein group to come work for us. And we
Just go by the names, whatever
Okay,
name
I
you
mean,
Yeah.
the one I do really enjoy is Kike's Red Tacos. Like, those are pretty fucking bomb.
Better
There
than
we
my
go.
neighbor Felix?
fuck
Yes.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so Chris has to drop that. You now are the torch bearer for Kike's Red Tacos. And to be honest, both of those are great options. I would love to see y'all duke it out in the Elite 8 or the Edible 8 presented by Dialed In. I love that we got that as a partnership because that's fucking perfect. And I think both of y'all are onto something. Lucinia is wonderful and deservedly so because we had some more aficionados helping us with the bracket committee. I don't know if they have the public pull. Like you were saying, Chris, Hop Alley's made deep runs in the past. Annette, I think last year, Caroline had a lot of irons in the fire and a newborn, so she may be more reinvigorated to try to go back and get that trophy once more. And I think Bakery 4 is going to be very fucking hungry. They were so goddamn close. I think they were like 80 votes or 50 votes, 30 votes short of winning it all last year. So while y'all both chose Hop Alley and Kike's, literally two of my favorites in town, I'm going with Bakery 4 to come out of this region. I feel like last year they weaponized social media beautifully, and so I think that they may be able to do it again, and it's a murderer's row going through that region, and I will get hate mail for days, but I think that the combination of it is a popularity contest because we do all the voting on social media, juxtaposed to the biggest battle they will have leading up to that will be a restaurant that's relatively new on the scene in Lucinia. I feel Bakery 4 may be able to make a deep run. Our next region, Chris, this is one of our, I'm gonna call it the shiny new car because I think Jeremy, our friend, who is also a member of the committee, mentioned it that oftentimes the newer spots will have a little more flair and gusto when it comes to the voting, but at the same time, tried and true can always play. But Sapsua has gained every bit of notoriety through the country, and they garnered a fuck ton of votes, both in the Asian genre or subsect of voting, but also in the fine dining. They could have literally gone 1-2 in either way with Yuan Wonton. So, Chris, let's talk a little bit about the Bar Green. What do you see when you break it out? I see one of your favorite restaurants in there, but they have an uphill battle right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're referring to the play-in game with Sonny's Med.
I mean, everyone knows you love them.
I mean, I do. Like, weeknight meals, Sonny's Med is my go-to. Pita sandwiches are delicious, and I'm happy to see him get a shot at entering the bracket. But yeah, I mean, that's a David versus Goliath matchup right there if I've ever seen
If
one.
they can get out, I mean, they're going up against Michelin bib winners and Mr. Oso. So they got to get, I mean, they're right up against a mammoth right there out the gates.
Yeah, but I think Sonny's can manage to pull it out there. But anyways, other than that though, you know, this region has quite the variety.
It's a stoner snacking paradise in this
And,
region, is what I like to say.
You know, obviously you got Bodega, which a lot of people love. I love the breakfast sandwiches, hard to beat. You got Samosa Shop, which is kind of new with
Well, it's new into the
Yeah.
brick and mortar, but Dave also,
Well,
over
right.
Chef Dave, has a great presence. But you're exactly right. And I feel like this is the stonerest of munchies in the regions.
And I mean, you got Molotov, Little Arth. I mean, there's a lot of good shit here.
Blue Pan, I mean,
So-
Uncle made a Final Four in 2022. Blue Pan has been a staple as the fan favorite pizza spot in Colorado for a long motherfucking time.
I think Easy Vegan may ride this victory from the great food truck race.
They were in a what they call a blackout. So Chef Lex and Tay were on the Great American Food Truck Race last year during March Madness, and the days in which they were competing, they had to not be allowed to use their phone for social media promotion of their locations in LA to do the promotion. So they had to just sell blindly to the audience. And those just happened to be the days that they were in our battles. And so they are very excited to actually be able to participate this time. Holy fuck. Hearing those stories, I felt so bad just because it was bad timing. But maybe now Food Network knows not to go up against a behemoth such as ourselves.
Yeah, dumb move.
Yeah, but Easy Vegan definitely has that social media presence, that following, and they make some really dank food that has resonated in the community.
I think what's so fun about this competition is you get to see some personality and the way that like the different restaurants handle promoting and riling up their fan base. So it'll
Or
be,
lack thereof.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Bobby Stuckey. That's going to be the joke for 30 days is that Bobby gives zero fucks about this whole tournament. They have yet to share it in the 3 years we've done it from any of their pages. Like, zero. So I love it. It's just, he's like, no, I don't have any interest in participating.
this may be the year. Maybe they
Fingers crossed. But these do feel like this region encompasses everything that we are about. You have local dives, stoner munchies like a Little Arthur's. You have
cheese.
lots of cheese, lots of cheese, sandwiches, baked goods, chefs that can cook with cannabis like Bo at Molotov that's also been making waves. You have a Michelin star, which we are a Michelin star quality podcast. And then you have some heavy hitters from the community like Sapsua. Like
Barbecue.
this encompasses everything about us. I love it. And so now, Chris, it's time for me to ask, who do you have coming out of this region? Eve, it's coming to you next. Get ready.
I think I'm gonna go with Easy Vegan.
Okay.
I think I believe like I think Sapsua is gonna go far. I think Sapsua. I mean, I don't know that top portion with Mukja and Post Oak battling it out. I mean, I think that could create a contentious matchup that could come down to the wire. But I think Easy Vegan makes it through.
All right. Eve, I don't know if you've been able to eat at all of these or any of these, but if you haven't, just pick based off of names. Because we oftentimes hear of people like my girlfriend winning March Madness brackets, doing it based off of team colors and mascots. So if you haven't eaten, you can just side based off of names yourself.
I think Black Box Bakery. I think just bakeries have like an edge sometimes.
That's a
over
totally.
certain things, you know.
I like where your head's at, and as someone who's been hanging out with them recently, you guessed properly. They're a fucking quality bakery.
You know, and especially bakeries do have like a slight edge, you know, because when they start promoting them in the morning, you're sitting there and you're looking and you're like, ooh, fuck, that baked good looks
You
really
get a totally
good.
different algorithm group. Like the morning BMers are a totally different wave than the lunchtimers. And the lunchtimers, it's a little slow out the gates because people are actually at their jobs. But at that 5 o'clock and then again at the 7 a.m., those are the two boosts. Think of them as like coffee and beers. You know, like when people are sitting down for a beer or sitting down for a coffee, that's when they're going to look at their social media if they're not chronically online. Black Box is a great call. I'm going to go with one that we didn't really talk. Chris, you kind of brushed over it, but it's Bodega. I feel like they've done well encapsulating or using their social media to promote their location. They make fun, inventive sandwiches. They have a line out the door. So if they can harbor that energy every week during their matchup, then I think they have a really good chance to come out here. And the same can be said for Little Arthur's. I know AJ's loaded with his calendar and schedule, so as long as it pairs up well for him, he may have an opportunity to use his army as well. Bunch of Philadelphians, Delco boys. But if not, I see Bodega being able to make some noise. And Bruto, it's going to be tough. We talk a little bit about it with Jeremy, but the smaller seated locations have not been able to feed as many folks, and in the higher end may price out some of the community just all in all. So just by default, some folks have eaten at some spots and not eaten at others, so they will side with the ones they've tried. So I think that's why we're going to see some chaos in this division, and that's why I'm going to take Bodega out of here for the Bar Green. As we work our way on, it's on our way to it's table fucking season. This thing's sturdy as a rock. Is that chestnut? I think it's pine. That's a Michael Scott quote from when he made his own Dundee's table. Our friends over at Cornerstone Reclaimed Wood. It's a Denver-based company that uses restored wood to make tables, chairs, bar stools, and things of that nature. They're going to be making a collection of products for the winning restaurant. So front of house wanted maybe a wood-burned logo or a big signage that they can hang outside. Reclaimed Wood from Quartersawn would be able to make that happen. They also get it from all across the region, so if you're looking for a specific piece of wood, they can find it for you. They primarily have worked in residentials in the past, but they're diving in head first into the commercial scene, and it's just a wonderful piece. Like, you could sleep on this. You could sleep on this. If there's an earthquake here, you could get under this puppy right here. Secret drawers, everything. Great way to make tables. That's our friends over at Quartersawn. So not everybody knew that one. I wanted to give them an ad read. Chris, we're diving into it. This is Poulette. Poulette had every first place vote in the bakery region, I believe, maybe except for one. Who do you have coming out of the true get-baked region with Quartersawn Reclaimed Wood?
God damn.
Some of your favorites are in this one.
That's a good one. I think there's, I want to say, three spots that I really think will make waves in this region.
Let's hear them, Chris.
So we got Funky Flame. I think with their new brick and mortar location, they're serving up good times and fucking tasty bites. Their pizzas are good. Their baked goods are good. Their bread's good. We love bread. And then, I'm also going to have to go with King of Wings. I mean, like, consistently, like, I mean, if you're going to a wing place, if you pass by King of Wings, you always see people waiting around. And it brings in a mix of people. You got your sports enthusiasts that come in there just to crush some wings, watch some sports. And then you have your people that just love fucking chicken wings. It's great. Love that spot.
With them opening a second location, it spreads the wings a little further. They may get a little of the golden vote. Now that folks are following out there at the School of Mines, you capture those engineering nerds, you can really harbor a lot of votes. Eve, this is your friends.
And Poulette. Poulette is going to...
I mean, Alan and Carolyn just absolutely fucking slay it. They have Parker wrapped around their finger. If they wanted to expand, selfishly, I'd ask them to expand to Arvada, which is only an hour away, being on the opposite ends of the metro. But my God, they are fucking excellent.
I saw some posts the other day. Somebody was talking about their apple fritters.
Oh yeah, Poulette. Jan Wonton was doing a pop-up.
Yeah. Oh, and I could almost taste it. Those fritters are so goddamn good.
Everything they touch turns to goddamn gold. They deserve to be on the short list with us in Chicago for best by the Beard Foundation. They deserve to actually be a finalist. We do not, but at the same time, if we somehow capture or stole that honor of being able to write off a trip to Chicago for us three, Eve could write our acceptance speeches or losses speeches that we give to the community after. Eve, who do you have coming out of the Quartersawn Reclaimed Wood region of death?
I'm just going to say MacFam because Doris and Ken are awesome, so I'm biased and I want them to win.
That's
They
totally-
deserve it. They're cool.
They are cool people. Ken is one of those chefs we were just talking about that is also on a short list to win some awards. And people forget we are, in fact, the trampoline that jettisons you to greatness. Caroline, last year, Penelope with the semifinalists as well. This year, I would not be surprised if one of these folks brings home the gold out of our bracket and then grabs home some hardware in Chicago.
It's not a coincidence.
It's by no goddamn means is it a coincidence. I mean, I couldn't agree more, Chris. And Eve, I think that's a great one. Unbelievable Chicken Wings. They're open for lunch, so they can actually appeal to everybody. And then they're also open for dinner. So you get the happy hour, you get the nighttime takeout orders. I mean, they churn and burn great food. So I like where your head's at, Eve. Mac Fam's a good one. King of Wings is another sleeper. I feel like Poulette is one of these, it's just a bear.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to be hard. We mentioned fritters, but it doesn't stop there. They have the macaron machine churning and burning. And then they've recently introduced savory since last season, savory into the game with their sandwiches that are just decadent. I think those are going to be great. Cart Driver, another one of our pizzas. We don't have nearly enough pizza representation or sandwiches, but Cart Driver makes an excellent pizza. And Barbosa Barbecue, that's a good one. Coperta, Paul Riley, Chef Kenny over there, he just won the Chef Chop Challenge over at Ophelia's. They're doing some dankness. And then, of course, everybody knows Beckon. That's going to be in that kind of situation where have you fed enough of the community that you can get the votes?
Yeah.
And that's what I worry about some of the omakase scenes. So I'm going to go with Poulette here. I just don't see how anybody, they're just a well-oiled machine at this point. They're just churning and burning. And if you get in front of them, they'll run over you. This is no Tiananmen Square. This is just straight bulldoze. Sorry, Eve. I know you're a communist. Okay, last section. Chris, this one is, we were talking earlier about having 30% of the bracket, or roughly 30% being of Asian-owned or Asian-vibed restaurants. There is a fuck ton representation in the Starbuds division of death. Like, it is going to be a fucking gauntlet. Just in the Asian scene, Yan Wonton, they're returning champions. You have Maki Zushiko, sorry, that's a misspelling for those that are curious. Hey Kiddo with Dookie Hong and Chef Kelly Whitaker. Kawa Ni, the new Japanese izakaya that's based out of Lohi that's starting to pick up some steam. Nana's Dim Sum, which has gone viral a time or two, and they're paired up against one another. We don't usually prefer to have those new games going against one another, but the bracket does what the bracket does. Star Kitchen, a staple in our community, and Bon and Butter, which just came off of a food competition on the Food Network. And then we have staples like Wolf's Tailor, Tavernetta, La Diabla, Sunday Vinyl, which we joked with about Bobby. And then Pit Fiend, which I think is one of the best barbecue scenes in town. Holy fuck, this region is ridiculous. Like, it's going to take some Twitter fingers turn trigger fingers to win this region. Shout out. Is that Drake? I don't actually know, but whatever.
It's a good one.
Well, it's one of the rappers.
Do you think there's the potential for a repeat champion? I mean, that seems like super tough to do, but not impossible.
It's not impossible. And Penelope, she knows how to use the internet. And Rob does as well. Knockers and Caroline also. And they have kind of an incubator team over there. They have some really deep ties with others in the community. It's one of those like icebreaker ships. Like you see someone stranded out there in the middle of a berg and you're like, oh, we're stuck here until something breaks. And then here they come just like plowing through meters of ice. That's what I think of. Like it's going to be very fucking hard to stop this team. And the only way to do that is to really capture your own audience and then just activate them. Like it's going to take like a giveaway, like show that you voted for us, get a free coffee or something like that. Because I don't see how anyone's going to knock them off their championship perch. Do you?
It's going to be tough.
Like Tavernetta is widely renowned as one of the best restaurants in town, but they just don't play the game.
But obviously, since Bobby told me the other day he was an avid listener, so he's probably hearing these shout outs and just being like, "All right, we're gonna get in the fucking game."
Fuck yes, let's go.
And so
I poked the bear. I poked him.
Maybe Tavernetta's staff gets involved and riles up their base because and they've got two competition. They've got two friends in this game over here in this region. They got Sunday Vinyl, and
Oh shit! Yeah.
they maybe be, they might be able to touch a little more of that, younger. Hey, I like to come in here and try some fine wine, and their staff is really
a little more playful and whimsical.
Yeah,
I
so,
agree.
I don't know.
And you do have a little wider reach because I feel like, whether you're like you may have started following Sunday Vinyl for Taylor Swift night. Shout out to our buddy Jamie Grayson, who I love that motherfucker to death. And that was the last time I did Vinyl Wednesdays or whatever, flight night. But they do that for so many different kinds of music. Like they did it for, hip hop. I made the joke about Drake, but like they'll do it for Lil Wayne, and then they'll turn around and do it for Brooks and Dunn. So they may have a little bit more of a range in terms of their following. And again, this all comes down to Instagram. But at the same time, if your food is mid as fuck, you're not even going to make the bracket. But if your food is just good enough to get in, but if people don't think of you as great compared to maybe your competitor, even if it's someone that does, maybe it's baked goods in the morning, like Tavernetta has, a tough row to hoe starting out the gates with bun and butter, like that's a bakery on Colfax that not only made waves on television just 2 months ago, 3 months ago, but they've also been churning and burning because, it's a family institution that's splintered or spun off of, a federal institution. So it's totally, it could go any which way. And I think we even slept on the fact that SOFTA was a play-in, which I think is one of those shiny car syndromes where it just kind of fell in the cracks, but it got enough points to get into the competition, but it had a tiebreaker, so it's going against one of the best vegan restaurants in Somebody People. But the problem is, we don't do voting on the weekends because we know the restaurants see their largest volumes on the weekends. So we're going to do this Monday through Thursday. Let's hear who you have in the Starbuds region to come out, Chris.
Fuck it. Yep, I'm going to go with Tavernetta.
There we
I
are.
think they're going to blow it up. We'll see.
Wait, time out. Do you think Bobby really listens to pod?
No.
Okay. I was about to be like, you're crazy.
But I'm going to chirp him.
You better be like, hey, if I go to bat for you, you got to come on board. Tell him to row with you.
Bobby, there's so many awards you can win, but this one is within your reach today. Go out and get it.
I love it. Well, we know we have a lot of friends that work over there, and we wish everyone the best, as we know a lot of folks in there. We'll see, because I think La Diabla is one of those that may slide in there and upset them, Chris. Just to let you know, I think La Diabla is going to come out of that side and then lose to Jan Wonton in the Edible 8 presented by Dialed In.
I was going to say La Diabla, but
I think Jose's done so much from doing these pop-ups with Groovy Gravy, which are great ways, working with the Denver Rescue Mission. He has the El Borrero Negro, which I know you campaigned for in the bracket. There's a lot of great shit that he's put his name on, and I think it's only grown since they got their Michelin nod at La Diabla. So I think it's going to come down to Jan Wonton and Lottie, Dottie, we likes to potty. I think Jan Wonton takes home the trophy. That was not a bad one.
That wasn't
I'm all
bad.
over on the hip hop today. First Drake's back to back, then Snoop. Eve, what do you have coming out of Starbuds region?
I'm going to say Nana's Dim Sum.
Ooh.
You think the viral trends of the dumplings can power through and beat the traditional champions in Jan Wonton, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, I like
It's just
it.
a feeling. I haven't been there either. So it's just like kind of random, but just looking at the list, I was drawn to that name, so
Hey,
why not?
you got to go with your gut.
Why not?
I love it. I love it. And again, this is it's all for fun and games, but it's really cool that we get to kind of shower the winning restaurant with gifts. The three of us have no say or of the outcomes. We're not going to influence or post anything about restaurants that are in the tournament as long as they are in the tournament. And we'll do, again, the Arms of an Angel song as we give an ode to every fallen team throughout the tourney. But at the same time, I think we've got a pretty good round of 64 on our hands. Thoughts, Chris? Are you nervous?
No, not at all. I'm excited to see what shakes out this year. It's getting bigger and bigger every year, so
it's picking up steam. There's some glaring omissions. Those that maybe missed the bracket, whether it was my fault, I put my hand up. I fucked up. I took Emeka Okafor. I took Karan Butler. But at the same time, there's a couple restaurants that were in here in years past that should be in here this year, and I don't know why. It may have just been shiny new object syndrome. But Levin Deli, Levin Deli. We eat there too often. Great bread, unbelievable sandwiches. Right next to Mr. B's, you can double dip Sammy's and beers. What's not to love? Pony Up, another sandwich spot. They're just they only open at 5 p.m. And if I'm going to be I'm not going to be downtown for a happy hour these days. And I'm sure as fuck not trying to stay out past midnight downtown. But if I was, that's where I'd want to be.
But during Thanksgiving time, you got to make
the Thanksgiving dip is wonderful, but sadly enough, it's too many months removed since I had it. And I don't know if I just blanked and just didn't have them on there. And then also Fruition. I just think that they're a good restaurant, that it's just been around for so long that sometimes they get lost in the fold.
I think that's kind of how Softa became a play-in game this year. Like, yeah, it's great, it's going to be good, but there hasn't been any like exciting updates that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, I personally think they got robbed in the last year's worldwide awards that came down, but at the same time, yeah, our subsections were that of like Meals on Wheels, Open Fire, Fine Dining, Latin, Asian, Fresh Nudes, aka the OnlyPans section. You Can't Put Me in a Box, aka Stoner Munchies. And so there's probably something else in there. And then I ended up being the one that had the final say in how these went down. So if you're upset that a restaurant you love didn't make it in there, shoot us a DM. I'll happily discuss it with you. I obviously have glaring omissions on a regular basis, and I feel bad about a few of them, especially when you see it all shake out. And there's no Carmine Leonardo's, which is one of the best sandwiches. Lou's Italian. I mean, I'm really hung up on the sandwiches. That breaks my heart. And that's all me. There's no one else to blame but me.
I mean, it's not a big deal.
Who do you wish that was in there that didn't make it, Chris? I mean, that's what they always do.
Everybody made it this year. Like, I don't have anybody that I wish would have made it over somebody
else.
Oh,
no, I don't think that there's anyone that's not deserving of being in the bracket. I'm just saying, if the bracket was 78 instead of 68, these are who I would put in.
Yeah, I'm going to go with I'm good. I'm good with what we got.
Sweet. And that's called good quality banter here on this podcast. Yeah, I mean, I think, we obviously got help from some friends in the industry, some friends in the community. We hope that everybody has fun. Don't forget, you have from now, as you listen to this on March 5th, until March 11th at 11:59 a.m. to get your comments with your 4 finalists into the bracket field. That's what you have to have. If you don't do that, you're not entered to win the Dialed In giveaway, which is a champions dinner, just like they do at the Masters. I love it. But they will reward one group with a gift card to go eat with the Dialed In team, as well as a litany of products from our friends at Starbuds and at Mr. B's.
And where do they put these votes?
You put all the votes on our Instagram post that dropped on March 4th. You'll see a picture of the bracket with a very long-winded caption because I don't have the gift of brevity. And that's where you'll have to go ahead and put in your final 4. What the fuck was that laugh about?
Your brevity comment.
Yeah, Chris and I were just agreeing.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's totally fine. Make sure this episode goes the full 59 minutes. Before we get out of here, best things y'all ate last week. It doesn't have to do with the tournament if you don't want to, but if you ate something good, let's talk about it so that we have a lot of stuff going on in the community, so we want to hear more. places you eat. Eve, best place you ate.
Well, I didn't eat out, but I had the leftover Popeyes.
Oh.
And I want to say my score was 7.58. I'm putting it back down to a 7 because that shit scratches your mouth. The little crispies on it.
Yeah, it's called a good crunch.
Yeah.
No,
Do
my
you
mouth
want
was
you
scratched
want
up.
hateful chicken
How
with
do
their
you-
smooth skin and
How do you chew? How did you?
I bet you were terrible to date when we were all 14. She was like, "Oh no, acne, crunchy skin. I'm not having that." I'm just kidding. I was thinking of smooth skin chicken. Like you want those like things that kind of go off on jutted edges. That's how you know it's a
Sure, but
good
not when
fry.
they cut the roof of my mouth open. And I was eating it with like dip. And then like an hour later, I was like, why does my mouth hurt? And I was like, that fucking chicken. Cuts your mouth up. 7 out of 10.
God,
I mean,
damn it.
I just like fuck.
Do you
Anyways,
think it's too late to get a new producer?
Good luck.
We don't want a new producer, Eve. We need someone to tell you what we really think. And what I really think is, I can't believe you don't love Popeyes. And I think it's because we didn't get the spicy chicken. We got original, so she didn't get that oomph of the flavor that the chicken holds underneath that level of crispy skin, which apparently is
Has bits of
abruptly.
glass in it.
To be fair,
how
never
long
se-
was the chicken? How long did you pick up the chicken
I got
before
like
she
30
had it?
minutes
Oh,
before
okay.
y'all got here.
Yeah, it was still warm.
But you love the biscuits, and what you got to do is
Yeah, the biscuits are
soften
real hot.
soften the roof of your mouth with a little layer of biscuit.
That wax.
Yeah, that's what I want to do with food. Have to coat my mouth in something else. In order
Well,
to
then
eat
learn
it.
how to eat fried chicken and don't cut your mouth.
You're from the Northeast. Do you just get no toasted subs ever?
No, I have. I like toasted subs. Cut your mouth. It's like that. It was similar to that. Like, it was like, did I just eat a bowl of Captain Crunch? Like, what the fuck happened?
That doesn't happen to me with cereal. So now I'm starting
Captain
to
Crunch
learn.
is known to cut your mouth. Look it up. Everyone agrees. I will not back down.
Eve was part of a
Google
class
it.
action lawsuit against the Captain
Everyone
Crunch.
says this about cat. Like, it's delicious, but it cuts the fuck out of your mouth if you don't let it soak a little bit.
So
I'm
are you like a very
I'm
like
right.
It's a 20-year-old Reddit conversation. Why is Captain
Sounds like my
Crunch
thing.
so good, yet it leaves your mouth feeling like you ate a razor blade?
Like, okay, when all your hang out with all your buddies, be like, has Captain Crunch ever like cut your mouth open? And I guarantee people are gonna be like, yeah, it does that. I guarantee.
I'll try
Wait,
and bring
why did
that.
you give us the automatic bro voice? Oh yeah, definitely. It's like that's
I've
what
met your
Because
friends.
we're just hanging out with bros, flexing all of our weed glass.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, I
you
forgot.
guys are weed bros. So
forgot
you
about
get to
Duh.
do that.
Damn it. That's very apt analysis right there and fitting metaphor. Nice voice too. It sounded eerily similar to Pat and Jacob. Chris, what'd you eat? That was really good last week.
I'm going to have to go with the week closer, which was our Sunday afternoon dim sum sesh.
Oh.
Not only was the company delightful, shout out to our friends
Carrie. Mark,
Carrie.
Delightful company that I can't remember.
Sorry, I'm bad with names. Shut the fuck up, Eve. Anyways, we went to the Empress
friends of yours?
Seafood restaurant, and boy, did we dive in.
Yeah, dim sum weekend was in full effect. I mean, we put down probably about 80 to 90 dumplings. Shout out to Julie, who is a new friend of ours that Chris still doesn't remember her name, but she was gluten-free while we were just putting down dumplings. And I just feel bad, but she was a good sport. Obviously, some great products come in rice noodles and things of that nature that don't have gluten, but yeah, that was a really good meal.
Oh man, I haven't been that stuffed in a hot minute.
That's a great call for best things we ate last week.
Yeah.
I talked about mine. I think we may even talked about it Thursday. The Red Llama. Did I talk about that? No. The Red Llama is a location of Peruvian food out of Lone Tree, Colorado. Not represented well enough on the bracket, but solid all the same. It's fucking good, man. It's fucking good. We'll talk a little bit more about it on Thursday, but it's a high-end Peruvian restaurant. So, Loros Saltatos, which is just steak fries, but it's like quality cuts of meat with like a brown gravy that has like soy sauce.
So Chris would hate it.
Oh no,
fries.
he would actually love this because the
Steak
French
fries?
fries were huge. They had the texture or the size of an iPhone.
Such the sore spots.
Yeah, they did. You
That's
touch,
what I love.
I mean,
you
just
touch
what,
like his like hernia.
just what
It
a
was like-
conniving, sneaking.
Oh yeah, I cut deep.
No, you're just like, oh, what's the way I could stab Chris in here one more time for this episode?
Picking on his fried choices. He won't sleep tonight.
Bro voice, rah.
Oh, I
You
love
did it first.
y'all. I love when y'all fight. Yes, they were mediocre French fries. Chris would have loved them, but everything else was equally solid. So like the lomo saltados were solid. The sauce that kind of comes over like a brown gravy, juicy veggies. These chicharrones were crispy boys, but it wasn't like deep fried. They were like fried in their own, maybe like pan fried, so they didn't like puff up or have like a hard exterior, and it was all meat, no fat. It was really solid. So I can't remember if we talk about that a little bit more on the podcast on Thursday, but I can tell you that if you find yourself shopping at Park Meadows, I don't know why the fuck folks go down there, but Lone Tree has a couple quality bites. In particular, I like the Red Llama and NBX, a little divey Asian restaurant. And then there's obviously Urban Village, which is a great Indian restaurant that was in the bracket last year, but didn't make the cut this year. So all in all, I had a good week last week, and I'm ready to hit the ground running. Until next episode, it's draft week. Eve, come up with a good draft on Thursday. Until next episode, don't forget, stay high, stay hungry.
Popeyes.
Steak fries.
It's March Madness, and nobody wanted to
I
say
said it
this
I
last
had
is
said
week.
March Madness. We'd said it
Yeah,
last
last
week.
week.
Come on.
Okay. I mean,
Follow
last
along.
week was February.
But we're leading into it.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Great ending.